next, let's go back to our project. And the first thing I want to do, because it's easy to forget, let's go to our Android manifest file. And here I'm going to add the internet permission. So I'm going to say uses, like that, uses permission. And I'm just going to type internet like this, hit enter, / to close. So this is something easy to forget. I like to add that permission before we move forward. So this will allow us to be able to use the internet in order to get information from the APIs and so forth. So very important. All right. So once we're done, that's fine. And the next thing I want to do here is I want to structure, of course, create all the packages that we may need in our project. That way we can organize our code. Remember, we're trying to create applications that are following the clean architecture. It really helps to put together the structure of our files, of our classes and packages and so forth. That way we have that structure in place. Okay. All right, let's go inside of our main. So inside of our main package here, I'm going to right click or Command N like this, and I can go say package. I'm going to start by creating DI package. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Create a few others. Called data. And this one, call this model. This is going to be navigation. Network. Repository. Utils for utility classes or functions and so forth. And I'm going to add components. Now some of these we may not use, but it's always nice to have them in place if we need to. So, and let's add another one called widgets. So we can add small pieces of code that represent a widget. Okay, they're very good. And before I forget, let's also add another one called screens or screens as such. Now, because we are again looking to put a very strong structure using Dagger and Hilt for dependency injection, which facilitates our development in general. And this is also something that you should always keep in mind when developing Android apps. I understand that the setting up can be a little bit cumbersome or it takes a little bit of time, but it's really worth the time to do this because it's easier to create applications that are easy to maintain, easy to extend as the complexity grows in your apps. Okay, so all this setting up, especially for putting together the dependency injection, it's really important. So that's how you should think about putting together your projects. Right, so in that spirit, I'm going to create a class at the main package level here. And I'm going to call this the weather application. So I'm going to say Command N to create a new Kotlin class. This is going to be just a simple class. Okay. And I'm going to call this weather application. Okay. And because this weather application is going to be the one that ties everything together in terms of the dependency injection. So it will allow for this to be recognized. Overall, we'll have access to the top level class called the application class for Android. So I'm going to say make sure that this inherits from application. You can see this is going to be application, Android application. There it is, and like this, voila. Okay, but now I need to make sure that this is also confirming to Hilt to make sure that this is a Hilt dependency project. In this case, entry point, I'm going to say at Hilt Android like this. So this ties everything together to say, okay, we're creating this weather application class, which implements, or in this case, inherits from application. the Android application class, the class that knows everything about all the assets and everything in our project. We are also saying that we are going to make sure that this is not just any weather application class here. It's also a Hilt Android app, so that in the background, Hilt will know what to do to set everything up to make this application able to use the dependency injections and so forth. Okay? And that's all that we need to do for our weather application. What we need to do next, of course, is go to main Android manifest, and we need to register this weather application, right? So that the entire project recognizes it as the main class that needs to be propagated throughout the entire project. So for that, anywhere here, if I start typing name like this, hit enter, and right away you can see that Android Studio helps us to say, okay, you want to register this weather application here in our Android manifest. So we need to do that. Okay, and while I'm here, let's go to our DI here. I'm going to add a new app module class here, and it's going to be an interface. I'm going to call this app module like this. Actually, just a class. Let's just say class like that. So it's app module, and we'll get back to that, but at least it's there for now. And before we forget, let's go to our main activity. So in this class here, I'm going to say at Android entry point like this. This is for Dagger to know that this is the where we can actually start using and connecting all the dependencies that this application, this project may have. So we're just setting everything up so we are able to use dependency injection of this, and you will see how all of that works.